Hey everybody, it's NCS Master here, and welcome back to another podcast review, another group podcast review, in fact. And this is one that feels a good bit overdue, but I guess we're finally getting around to it, thankfully. This is a group podcast review of Pokemon Legends Arceus, and today I'm joined once again by my good friends Space King Scott
Hey, this is
and
the last time I talk too much about near lore and writing analysis and literature.
and FlameGuy21.
Last time we kept bringing up how I needed to play Automata, and I have. It's pretty good.
Hey,
Better than Replica.
Character development.
hey, I still need to play it, so that's something I gotta get on. But yeah, like we had mentioned in that review, we're finally getting around to reviewing Pokemon Legends Arceus. Probably should, you can thank college for, and at least me and Scott's perspective from holding this review up for a little while.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I finished it within like 3 days mostly.
Gosh. Man, that's. Whew. I can only imagine finishing a game like that nowadays. Like, even my most anticipated game of the year, actually my most anticipated game of the generation, XC3. That's probably going to take me like a month to finish.
To be fair, Xenoblade 3 is probably going to be like 60, 70 hours long.
Yeah, Xenoblade 3 is probably gonna be like 3 times the base length of Arceus.
Yeah, yeah. Although, my final semester of college is in 3 weeks, so
Yeah. Well, anyway, we could probably get on to the review now. So yeah, Pokemon Legends Arceus. This is a very, very interesting game when it comes to Pokemon. So I remember, and I'm sure all of us will remember, when this was first announced. It was February of 2021, and I think it's safe to say the Pokemon fandom was kind of in a bit of a civil war still over Sword and Shield. It's safe to say the fan base was pretty fractured at the time.
I wouldn't say that it was a civil war. I would say that it was more like a mass censorship campaign against anyone that dared criticize Lord Pikachu.
How dare you have constructive criticism of the video game?
Constructive criticism of the biggest media franchise on the planet.
Hell, Sword and Shield, as many of you probably know, that game, I had such a strong distaste for it. It's the reason I started doing YouTube, because I felt the need to get my thoughts out in a stronger sense than a few tweets.
I don't know if my opinion is necessarily fair, because I never sat down and got in the driver's seat and played Sword and Shield myself. But I watched a full playthrough because, I wanted to at least know what it was like. And yeah, no, that's a solid 4 out of 10 at best.
Oh, you're even harder on it than I am. I said like a 5.
It's not good. Not good at all.
No, it is not. But so coming
Rumors have been flying around like forever at that point, though, about how there was going to be a remake of
Diamond and Pearl.
Diamond and Pearl, and interestingly, Legends had managed to stay mostly outside of that sphere.
Yeah,
but it did leak though. The presentation that Pokemon Company shared with their investors, like you could view it if you had the means, like 12 hours ahead of time.
Yeah, I remember
that. I did have the means, but
The memes.
The memes.
We have the memes.
I remember going into the group chat with y'all and saying, okay, so this is not just one game, it's 2 games. First game looks like crap. Second game looks like the most ambitious thing they've ever done, and I will say no more.
Yep, that's exactly what happened. In February of 2021, we got the double reveal of both Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl and Pokemon Legends Arceus. Now, BDSP was the more meaty reveal. We got more of it, we saw what it was about, and it was also definitely the more controversial reveal. A lot of people weren't feeling all that great about it. But Legends was more interesting because it seemed to be going in a completely different direction, a much more ambitious direction overall, but we didn't know much about it, and it wasn't coming out for what ended up being basically an entire year, given when it was announced. It wasn't coming out for nearly a year. And so the months went on, we found out more and more about it, and it was turning out to be almost this, like, open world game that was set in Sinnoh's past. Like I said, it was very different compared to what came before it. And like a lot of people, I actually continue to get more and more excited the more that we saw of it, because I'm one of those people who does not like Sword and Shield at all, so I was feeling pretty pessimistic about Pokemon at the time. But more I saw,
Honestly, same.
but yeah, the more I saw of Legends, I'm like, okay, can I be excited about this? You're not gonna hurt me again, are you, Pokemon? But
On my end, I stayed out of the marketing material entirely. All I wanted to know, I didn't look at any trailers after the initial reveal, any footage or anything. I just did. I was like, okay, if it's good, sure, media blackout time. But if it's, all I wanted to know was when the reviews came out. Is it good? Okay, sure, I'll go buy it. Is it bad? Well, that was disappointing. Move on with my life.
Yeah, so BDSP came out first, and it became pretty obvious that that was more just an appetizer for Legends, as Legends was clearly the big new game that they wanted to focus on. And I mean, anybody who watched my podcast review, I enjoyed BDSP actually pretty decently enough for what it was, but I was definitely more looking forward to Legends, and the day it finally came out, I was pretty into it. And so I guess, you guys kind of already said it, but what were your feelings on Legends going into the lead up?
Pretty much the entire time, I was just like, please be good, please be good, please be good, with my fingers crossed the entire time.
Yes.
Same.
Not getting my hopes up too high just in case.
Yes.
Pokemon has an infinite capacity to disappoint, so I actively actually expected it to be crap and hoped for the best, though.
Yeah, same here. I was just hoping it was gonna be good. And for me, at least, yeah, just to give, before we get into the deep details, just to give very quick brief thoughts, at least for me, this is my favorite Pokemon game since Black and White 2. I think this is the best one since the DS generation, and I think there is even an argument to say this is the best Pokemon game of all time. I genuinely believe that. But I guess to get more into the details of it, to start with the story and the characters and all that. Pokemon's never been super heavy on story, but good to go over it here. So, the story of Legends Arceus is, it starts with basically your main character waking up in a void in front of God himself, Arceus. And Arceus essentially sends the main character back into the past of Sinnoh long before humans and Pokemons interacted, and I'm not sure if it's confirmed or not. Is this supposed to be like Lucas or Dawn, like the
Yeah, I think so.
like the character you played through in original Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum?
I think so.
I guess that explains why it is that that character never returned, but Red and Blue did.
Yeah, that is true. Because they never really outright confirm it, but I think it is heavily implied to be the original main character from the original games. And so they are sent back in time, and they effectively have to complete what is kind of the very first Pokédex ever. Like, it's not a phone, although you do have a god phone in this game. It's not a DS-looking device. It's not a smart pad. It is literally like a notebook. You are literally filling out a notebook of information on Pokemon, because this is a time like at least a good 100 plus years in the past, long before humans and Pokemon regularly interacted. And so most of this game involves you joining this group called the Galactic Patrol Team, and gathering all this information about Pokemon alongside characters like Professor Laventon, either Ray or Akari, depending on who you picked as your protagonist, Commander Kamado, Silene, and the members of the Diamond and Pearl clan, who are led by Adaman and Irida, respectively. And the story, there's not a big, heavy, overarching plot in this one. It's more about just getting to know more about these characters and the world you're in, which I kind of like. You just learn more about these people, how their society works. You stop these raging, noble Pokemon who are kind of implied to have been imbued with power by Arceus, which is why they're going berserk. And, after you calm down all the noble Pokemon, you end up having to stop this essentially worldwide catastrophe, which is caused by Dialga and Palkia running amok at the top of Mount Coronet. And with the help of all your friends, you're able to capture both of them and sort of settle them down, and that's mainly the final climax. Like like I said, the story isn't like a major evolution of big events. It's more just learning more about the world itself. Like, what do you guys think about the story overall?
It's cohesive, which is oddly a compliment.
Yeah.
Stuff happens. Which is more than, well, several of the last few games can say.
Yeah, yeah. I will definitely agree there.
There's actual weight at a couple points in the narrative, and actual meaningful conflict, as opposed to Generation 8, which wasn't a narrative.
Sword and Shield didn't have a story for 90% of it.
Yeah, and like they tried to have a story, but then they just kind of gave up halfway through.
Yes.
And then Let's Go also isn't a story. It's
yeah. Well, Let's Go with just Gen 1 again.
yeah, yeah. And then Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon actively went out of its way to nerf its own plot.
Yeah, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon straight up just made Sun and Moon's story worse by making Lusamine infinitely less interesting. Like, oh my god, that is like one of the biggest downgrades in Pokemon history.
Well, I guess we gotta take out all of the heavily implied domestic violence.
Yes, because this series is so afraid of having dark villains, despite the fact that Gen 4 has a literal anarchistic nihilist as its main villain.
Yeah.
And is somehow only 27, yet looks 50.
Yes! Oh my god.
That's what nihilism does to a MFer.
This is your brain. This is your brain on nihilism. Any questions? Okay, but yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I think that the plot's simple, but I think the biggest point that it excels in is regards to the portrayal of the people and their relationship with Pokemon. This plot doesn't function if it doesn't sell how dangerous that Pokemon are. Like, they're an existential threat to human existence at this point in time.
Absolutely.
And they actually do manage to sell that, so...
Yeah. I love the way they portray, like, they fully embrace that dynamic of this is a time before Pokemon and humans really connected. Like, there was one side quest I did early on where a woman wants to like see a Starly to, like, I think look at like what like its hair shape is like or something like that, and then when you show it to her and you go like, oh, do you want to like maybe pet it or something? She like backs up and is like really scared of it. Oh, no, I'm good. And I laughed at that at first because
scary.
Because I thought, oh, haha, it's funny, it's a little Starly. But then I thought, wait a minute, that's actually kind of a very realistic portrayal of how this society would work thinking about Pokemon. I was
I
like,
mean, we laugh at funny looking bird, but it does have superpowers. It
yes,
could kill you.
Yes.
it eventually evolves into a bird that literally learns a move that is just beating the crap out of you once it hits its final evolution. So, yeah, that's certainly something. But yeah, I agree. I really like the world building, and I like that the plot isn't it's very different from the regular games. Like, there's really no bad guy in at least the main story. There's really no villain.
Yes, back to the fundamentalist form of and most ancient form of storytelling. Man versus nature.
Yeah, but
That's actually exactly what it is.
honest to God, yeah, you're not wrong, and I think that's a really interesting story that Pokemon could tell. And it kind of has its cake and eats it too, because we actually do get the reveal of a main villain in the post game, and it's actually a really good reveal that leads to
Okay, I haven't done post game stuff. I've only finished main story.
Oh, okay. Oh, I guess we can't really talk about that then.
Man.
Oh,
I'm
God.
sorry about that. It's just I had you gave I had 2 days to finish it after he DM'd me.
Shit, I was planning on really talking about that. Dang it.
Spoiler bonus section.
You
Yeah.
know what? You know what? You know what? It's fucking Pokemon. I'm not gonna worry about it too much. Actually,
Are you
you
sure?
know what? I'm sure it's fucking Pokemon. The plot, it's not gonna bother me.
Okay, so we can talk about that as we get into characters here. We can just talk about all the individual characters here now. So, like I said, the main ones in this game are Adaman, Irida, all their individual captains, Ray / Akari, Professor Laventon, Kamado, Silene, Volo, and Kogita. So, do you guys have any like personal favorite characters out of all of them?
Who was Cyrus's ancestor again?
Silene.
Silene. I liked her. She's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Also, I felt like she did kind of set up how, at least a little bit of how, Cyrus, could have ended up the way that he did, because she is a brutal personality, right?
Yeah.
You could kind of just imagine, like, she might not have necessarily had a good relationship with her kid, and that kid with their kid, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although in the end, she actually does care about you.
Oh
She
yeah.
does.
Absolutely.
She does, but she's very distant and all business and brutal and stuff, and that is unfortunately a pretty realistic way in order to shape someone's worldview to not be so, glamorous.
Yeah, very, very true. And also, major props to this game for not going the obvious, easy route of having her end up being the bad guy. I'm so glad they didn't do that.
Yeah.
Evil doesn't run in the blood.
Yes, I love that. I love how this game, despite like so many of the ancestors being clear as to who they are, they really shake up the dynamics of who's good and who's bad. Like, they don't just go the easy route of making all the bad ancestors the same bad characters in the original games and all the good characters good. Like, they really do some interesting dynamics here. Like, the closest we get to a quote-unquote evil team in this game being the Misfortune Sisters, who are more like side comedic bad guys. They are the ancestors of Candace, Saturn, and Bertha, respectively, and you don't expect that combination. Like, it's really interesting how oh, bless you.
Excuse me.
It's interesting how they don't go the easy route. They make these interesting twists. Like, you have Arezu, who's the ancestor of Mars, and she's part of the Diamond Clan. You've got Even characters outside of Sinnoh, like Leon is the ancestor of Clay, the Unova gym leader. I really like how they don't stick just to Sinnoh there. I think that's a really smart idea.
I do think that we're probably missing something in the lore here, though, because you have all these characters from throughout the series being represented in the past here in Sinnoh. I mean, this might have been like 500 years plus ago,
Yeah.
but obviously that leads into the question of, like, okay, was there like some sort of time where people were moving away en masse from Sinnoh, or
Yeah.
was it a situation like just gradually moving away? And there's also a question about, like, the available Pokemon species in the landmass. They're different from when they are in the present, so that kind of implies that those Pokemon went with those people.
Yeah, that's very true. I think it's just supposed to be one of those things like people, cultures, and even the land itself changes over centuries. So I think it's just supposed to be like a natural sort of thing.
I buy that in some regards. I think, though, that the jaded man in me says that though that they're just leaving that on the table for another game if they want to do that.
Yeah, I feel like they would have to go really into detail to explain how certain things end up certain ways, and it would take a lot of time given how many regions, how many characters Pokemon has. I wouldn't be against, like, if they ever release like a big encyclopedia of Pokemon, like explaining how the regions evolved over time and stuff like that.
The official Pokemon timeline.
Yes, the Pokemon Historia.
I'd take it.
Yeah, same
It'd be
here.
interesting.
Same
Interesting.
But yeah, I guess some of my favorite characters. I really like Adamant and Irida, both of the Diamond and Pearl clan members. I really like their dynamic together. They're actually pretty funny when they work off of each other. And actually, one of my favorite lines in the game comes from Adamant when you're entering like the ice area for the first time and they're bickering at each other, and he's just like, I'm starting to think this whole Diamond and Pearl fighting thing is just more between you and me than the actual clans. Like, I love that level of self-awareness. It's just I love that from characters. But yeah, did you have any favorite characters you wanted to talk about, Flame?
Oh, not really anyone in particular, except maybe the spoilery guy.
Oh, okay. So
It's like,
oh,
although like I do like how it's not always like like all the ancestors don't like completely up front and center.
yeah.
Like and like they're not always obvious. Like I didn't know that the guy at like the trading post like in town was like the ancestor of like
Volkner.
yeah, Volkner.
Yeah, or how the training lady at the battleground is Flint's ancestor.
And like I think there's like a nurse in town that's like the ancestor of Mira, and like you automatically assume it's Nurse Joy, but then you see the hair and it's like, oh wait.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was pretty good. But so yeah, I guess maybe we can really, because you mentioned that.
I guess another favorite and interesting thing of mine in terms of characters is Ingo's presence.
Yes,
That's dark.
Yeah,
That's probably, actually, in terms of like character-based storytelling, that's probably the darkest thing that's occurred in the series.
yeah, it's definitely up there. It is absolutely up there. It's never really explained why he was dragged into the past or how it happened, but I do like Ingo in this game. It's really cool to see him again.
Yeah, he's a character that I completely forgot about otherwise.
I remembered the subway from Black and White.
Yeah,
yeah, like the thing is, like I knew who he was when he like came out, but otherwise I wouldn't have remembered that he existed.
yeah. It's
Unfortunately, he leaked ahead of time before the game came out, so I knew he was in there. I feel like
I
if that didn't leak, I felt like that would have been a very interesting surprise for me. Unfortunately, I didn't get that experience.
Yeah, it sucks when stuff like that happens, but it was pretty cool to see him again. Like, it's kind of a bit of a weird comparison, but him in this game kind of reminds me of Android 17 and Dragon Ball Super. It's a character nobody really thought of at first, but when they brought them back, they just used them in such a way that they became a fan favorite after being like kind of a non-entity for so long.
You know what? That is actually an interesting point of comparison now that I think about it.
Yeah, but yeah, I do really like Ingo. I like a lot of the captains in this game actually. I really like Isken and who was the lady he was with? I forget her name. Shit. But I really like their dynamic, like how they're kind of like in a light romantic relationship. That was actually kind of adorable. But yeah, I guess we can really get into the spoiler character. And you're sure you're okay with this, Scott? Because we don't.
I've probably already seen it.
Okay, so
Twitter.
Okay, so now we can talk about Volo, who.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I saw the image.
Okay, okay, so we're not completely spoiling you, but yes, Volo is the clear ancestor of Cynthia. Just by looking at him, he's clearly just male Cynthia. But so
and also his grandmother is Granny Cynthia.
yeah, I'm gonna
Plus.
yeah I'm gonna ask about that in a second actually. So Volo, he is like this happy-go-lucky traveling merchant who has this deep fascination with the myths and the legends of Arceus and stuff like that. And he follows you around a lot throughout most of the different regions, and he actually really helps you towards the climax of the main story. But then afterwards in the post game, you go on another journey with him to find all the different plates of Arceus, and then when you finally find all of them and meet him at the top of Mount Coronet, he reveals that he actually he's insane. Like he is a insane over the top religious zealot. And he essentially wants to summon Arceus because he is utterly obsessed with him. And he is almost the prototypical RPG protagonist. He wants to attack and dethrone God, and he plans to do so by summoning Giratina to get his attention. And I think it's actually somewhat implied that he was somewhat of the cause of some of the events in the game because he was messing with the stuff with Arceus and stuff like that. I think that's what's implied. I could be wrong. I don't know if
although given Arceus is like a weird rainbow plate that you can get, like he would have no issue fighting Giratina at all.
Yeah,
at least in this game.
But yeah, yeah, you're not wrong. But yeah, Volo is utterly nuts. The fight with him is ridiculous. Like, I actually don't think it's much of a stretch to say it's the hardest fight in all of Pokemon up to this point.
Yeah, it took me like 3 days in total to beat this dude, and like a bunch of grinding.
Yeah, like it's actually even though Volo is kind of like the continuation of the story in the post game, you probably don't want to fight him right as the post game starts. You'll want to go through more of filling out the Pokedex to grind up your Pokemon to get stronger because oh my god, he is so strong.
Yeah, I think my team started out at like level 60, and then by the end of this they were like level 76-ish.
Yes, definitely. And also a really nice touch that he actually has a very close team to Cynthia's.
Yeah, but I think he has a Arcanine instead of a Melodic.
Yeah, he has
sure.
Yeah, he has a Hisuian Arcanine.
The how to beat guide for that fight is like 10 pages long.
Yes! Because it is without a doubt the hardest fight in all of Pokemon. Oh, go ahead.
Like, this dude, like, knows how to abuse the system, and it really shows how much different the battle system is in this game.
Yes. Like, I actually haven't beat Volo because I haven't played much of the post-game because I put the game down because I wanted to do other stuff and being busy with college and all that. But I'd like to get back to it. But yeah, that fight is Oh my god. Not just because it's tough, but because he effectively has 8 Pokemon for all intents and purposes instead of 6.
Yeah, because it's just like I think it took me like 4 tries to beat him. I was like, all right, that was a fun challenge. And then he sent out a stat boost of Giratina and killed me instantly.
Yes.
Do you go
Oh,
back to the start after losing to Giratina?
yes.
Yes,
Yeah, and the
you
thing
have to do the whole thing
Oh
in
yeah.
one go.
Yeah, and the funniest thing is when you knock Giratina his health completely to 0, he looks like he faints and then he goes, "Bitch, you thought," and then regains all his health back and goes Origin form.
Yeah, like when I found out there was a 3rd phase, I was just like, nope, you won. Take the place, you deserve it.
I will grind. I will grind.
Did you actually end up beating the 3rd phase?
Eventually.
Yeah, he has. I have not yet, but I know the whole thing with it, and it's like, oh my dear Lord in heaven. But going back to Volo himself, yeah, you really only see him as a villain for one scene, but I really, really like it because not only is it an honestly really good twist on why he was following you and all that, but I really like his personality because it feels like a logical, dark extreme of what Cynthia's personality was. Because she was also deeply interested in, like, legends and myths and the legendary Pokemon, but she wasn't.
She wasn't consumed by it.
Yes, exactly. And that's kind of. I would love to know more about how we go from Volo to Cynthia one day, because keep in mind this man had to procreate at some point.
I mean, have you seen him?
Yeah, but then it's like, did Cynthia like learn about him through her family tree and like become fascinated with his like ideas but not want to take them to such an extreme? Like, there's so much interesting lore you can go into with Volo. It's so interesting.
I mean,
What
like,
I'm
it doesn't
wondering is
necessarily
how this
mean
man.
that.
How
Like,
did
it doesn't
this...
necessarily.
Go ahead.
Like, it doesn't necessarily mean that like, she knew how crazy he was
Yes. But
to the
go.
point where he would actually try to summon God and create a new universe.
Oh, he didn't just summon. He tried to summon God and actually summoned the devil. Because Garrett.
Yeah. Also make a deal with the closest Pokemon has to a devil, although kind of not really.
I mean, Giratina is pretty heavily implied to be the devil of Pokemon. But what were you gonna say there, Scott?
What I'm wondering is how a man that exudes so much incel energy managed to procreate.
Yeah.
To be fair,
What? To be fair, what?
he is very attractive.
Yeah, he's not the worst looking dude in the world, and I mean, hey, people are very heavily attracted to Cynthia, and Volo is basically just male Cynthia, so.
Cynthia for gay people.
Okay, but one thing I was also gonna mention is his connection to Kogita. So, is Kogita also an ancestor of Cynthia? Because
Probably.
their dynamic is never really stated outright. Like, is she his mother, his grandmother? Like,
I feel like it could be either, but like they're definitely related just because of how they look.
yeah, Kogita's weird. She's very mysterious and doesn't really get a lot explained about her. Like, she's cool, but there's a lot more about her I would like to know that the game just doesn't really go into. Like, was she with the group that traveled to Sinnoh to formulate Jubilife Village, but then went off and did her own thing? Was she there before? Like, did she come here with Volo? Did she meet him later? Like, these are the things that I think about in the shower. Like, it's this shit with Pokemon, where it's like, you've got all these amazing setups and stuff, but you don't answer them, and it's like, oh, that's frustrating.
All I know about this woman is that she made me run around the woods for an hour looking for 3 pieces of wood, and I will never forgive her.
Yeah, that was kind of annoying having to find the wood.
This should not be that hard to find. I've played Minecraft.
No, don't you know? You just gotta punch the tree for a little. Just get your scythe. Oh,
yeah, it's not like I have a Pokemon with literal like with like little size for hands.
Yeah, like why can't I just get my scyther to cut down the tree for me?
Like I was actually going around at this point in the game with my scissor, just hitting trees. Like, why can't you cut them? Help me.
You mean your Cleovor?
No, my scissor.
Oh, can you actually get scissor in the game?
Yeah, I actually got one in like a time rift, and I was just like, oh, this fills a good spot on my team, and then I just use a scissor.
Oh, okay. I actually did not know scissor was in this game. That's actually pretty cool. I figured.
Yeah, you can actually get all the regional variants of the Pokemon in the game through the time rifts.
Oh, nice. That's actually really cool.
Like I got a Sneasel before I knew a Hisuian Sneasel was a thing.
Oh, Sneasler.
Why is it long?
The long boy. You know you like Sneasler deep down. You know you like it.
No.
No. Give me Weavile. But yeah, when it comes to the characters in the story, I really like them in this game. I think it's way better than the past several games that we've had. Easily the best since Gen 5, if you ask me. But again, like I was saying before, some of it does fall into Pokemon's usual problem where you've got a lot of interesting stuff here, but you don't always go into it as much as I would like it to. Like, there's so many questions I have about the Pokemon universe in general that just never get answered, and I think I'm not the only one who's like that. But yeah, so I guess moving on from the story and the characters, we can then talk about the gameplay. And this is
yes, there's not much story. It goes to talk about the story for almost 40 minutes.
To be fair, we talked about Nier lore for like an hour and a half.
And
that is also fair.
And we did also specifically relegate part of that to the characters as well, not just the story itself. But, so yeah, now that we can, talk about the gameplay, which I think is easily the biggest, difference out of all of this, so this game is, it's not exactly open world, but it's more semi-open world, where you have, these 5 big distinct areas that you actually run around and adventure in, and you, go across them catching Pokemon instead of these straightforward routes that are just a line between town to town. Like, there's only one town in this game. It is only Jubilife Village. There is no other town in this whole game.
There's like 2 or 3 settlements, but that's about it.
Yeah, like there's a diamond settlement and a pearl settlement here and there, but they're not like specifically different, like a sectioned off towns. And I know that upsets some people, but I actually don't mind the setup. Like, I actually really like Jubilife Village. I think it's easily one of the best individual towns in the entire series. Love the music in it as well. Love that track.
Just love the whole vibe.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, totally agree. But yeah, there's 5 distinct areas, and it's kind of set up like Monster Hunter in the way it is, where you got these open areas as opposed to like something like, say, Breath of the Wild, where you go around one continuous big open world, although from what we're hearing, that's almost more what Scarlet and Violet are going to be like, which those games will be interesting. And the way the gameplay works here is that Pokemon now freely spawn. You don't encounter them in the grass. And different to mostly any other Pokemon game, the Pokemon will actually attack you in this game. Like, they are out for blood. And it can be kind of scary sometimes, not gonna lie, especially if an alpha Pokemon is coming after you.
Pokemon in the present hide in the grass because they sometimes are fearful of humans and human activities. In the past, humans had to hide in the grass from the Pokemon.
Yes, you need to hide in the grass from the giant land jet shark monster that's gonna earthquake you into the oblivion.
Well, no, I think that.
Oh no, I don't want
I
to get
just
mauled
like
by an
how
Ursaring.
that just conveys how things, were how different things were.
Oh yeah,
Pokemon, humans rule the land today. In the past, it was the other way around, and that very thing is reflected in the gameplay.
yeah, much like the
Yeah,
real.
these things are out for blood. Like a freaking level 5 Shinx will always try to attack you when you have like level 80 Pokemon.
Yeah, yeah, or the one that people got really freaked out about in the beginning are Paris of all Pokemon. Those little bastards are ruthless. There are so many memes about Paris going from this nothing Pokemon to this cerebral assassin that is just gonna come after you and just attack the shit out of you. But yeah, like Flames said, you can just have an Ursaring, a giant bear, come charging at you, and you just you either gotta fight it or you gotta run.
I think that
Oh, go ahead.
it feeds into one of the main things about this game, which is that it's difficult. It's
Yes.
probably the most difficult title in probably the series,
Mhm.
or at least
Yeah.
minus at least since Gen 1, but I think it's difficult. It's very easy to lose, and I think that that's a good thing because not only was Sword and Shield super bad, but also it was just
piss
boring.
easy. Piss easy.
Boring because a game where you can't lose is boring.
Yeah, I could sneeze on Sword and Shield and that game would shatter into 1,000 pieces.
It's almost impossible to do a Nuzlocke of Let's Go, for instance, because there's almost no circumstance in which a Pokemon will be knocked out.
Yeah, basically.
When I played Sword and Shield, I think the only part that I had trouble with was against Nessa, but that's only because I had no Pokemon that were good against hers, and I was too stubborn to go catch something else.
Oh, did you pick Score Bunny?
Yes. And then I had like the little baby Toxtricity, like right before the gym that barely did any damage.
Oh,
It wasn't good yet.
But yeah, like Scott said, this game can actually be kind of challenging. In fact, I would say probably the only games that might rival it in terms of difficulty are the Shadow games, Pokemon Coliseum and XD on the GameCube.
Freaking Evis and his skill swap slacking.
Oh God! Don't forget Greevil and his Shadow Lugia, followed by a full team of the legendary birds.
Yeah. that you have to catch.
Yes.
In the same fight.
Yes.
Timer balls are a requirement for this.
God, those games. But yeah, you freely roam around in Legends Arceus, and you actively, I actually had to get used to it at first. You don't just run into the Pokemon, you actually have to throw your Pokeballs at them, which don't make sense, to engage a fight with them. And, that also ties into a mechanic that I absolutely love in this game. You can catch Pokemon without having to enter a battle with them. You can sneak up around them or behind them, and if they don't notice you, you can throw a Pokeball at them, and there's a chance that you can just catch them right then and there without ever having to engage in a battle. And I love that so much.
I think that probably just like the natural, logical conclusion of what they had been doing with the series. Because like, what was Pokemon Go? It was kind of that in miniature, right?
Yeah,
And then there was also like
let's
they
go.
tried to translate that idea to Let's Go, to very terrible results. And
Oh, that might piss off some people.
and you know, I think that it just kind of logically follows because like this is the kind of stuff that they would do in the anime, kind of.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I think that it's good that the game that I've played a game that actually kind of feels like the way that the Pokemon anime is set up.
Yeah,
Because like I like that. I felt kind of immersed with that. I liked, you know, sneaking around. I liked the stealth game design that was incentivized.
mm-hmm.
And I actually liked the act of throwing Pokeballs.
Oh yeah, I
That
agree.
was fun. That was probably one of the best parts of the game, actually, in my opinion.
Now all we need for it to be more true to the anime is finally that you have a game where you can catch the Pokemon once they fainted. Because you can never do that in the games, but they always do that in the anime.
Although I feel like there has to be like some kind of balance, just so that you don't just one shot everything. Just be like, all right, now you're mine.
Yeah, maybe like when you knock out a Pokemon, you only have one chance to throw a ball at it, but it's the highest catch chance you can get. Something like that.
High risk, high
Possibly.
reward.
Yeah, basically something like that. But going more into the gameplay of Arceus, much like some of the older games, no more HMs. Thank the Lord Jesus.
Although that is evolved by means of, you know, they were working on that whole gameplay idea by moving into ride Pokemon, and that actually just evolved into what we have here with Arceus, where you know you have the ride Pokemon, and now they are actually key components of the actual traversal mechanics in a seamless fashion.
Yeah, yeah. You get 5 different ride Pokemon, one for each area. You get Weirdeer, Ursaluna, Basculegion, Sneasler, and Hisuian Braviary. And they're all really helpful to getting around the areas. Major props to the game for being smart enough to give you Weirdeer very early on so you can traverse around very quickly. I really
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah, the maps are logically segmented based on what ride Pokemon is available, and that's actually far less invasive than pretty much any implementation of like the segmentation of maps that's ever been done before in the series.
Definitely. And I even
And I also like how Weird Deer basically serves the purpose in open world game design of a horse,
yeah.
but what's more interesting than what's more interesting about him as opposed to your average, you know, horse in your average open world game is that first of all, obviously, he's Pokemon. He has superpowers. He can jump really high. He can run really fast, and I think that just makes it better than a lot of horses in open world game design.
Yeah, I would agree. Fortunately, can't double jump like Torrent in Elden Ring. We'll get there. but but yeah, I really do like how they handled it, and I even remember some people who were worried, like when they showed the right Pokemon at first, because they showed Braviary, and they were like, "Oh, why the heck would I need any other Pokemon when it looks like Braviary can just fly over everything?" They make that work by having you get Braviary not until very, very late in the game. Like
And even then, it's like a glide. You can't really like fly necessarily.
yeah, but if you get up to a high enough area, you can get across a map super quickly. But you don't get him until like halfway through the final main area, which that way you still have to explore basically all the other areas beforehand. And then with Braviary, you can then traverse most of the areas much quicker whenever you decide to return to them, which is really smart.
Yeah.
But to continue going forward, there is actual crafting in this game, that's actually pretty cool. It actually allows you to save on money in a lot of ways because you can often just craft potions and Pokeballs.
I actually thought it was more so the other way around because like the economy is quite restrictive in Legends Arceus. Like, you don't have a ton of money to throw around.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that actually is a good thing, though, because so many open world games just have this half-baked crafting mechanic that is ultimately relegated to irrelevance on account of the fact that you can usually just buy everything you actually need, and you get shitloads of money.
yeah,
But Legends of Arceus actually asks that you engage with the crafting mechanics.
yeah.
Like,
Oh, go ahead.
like
Frank.
I was starved for money pretty much the entire game.
Yeah, which is weird for Pokemon, because usually Pokemon has you drowning in cash.
Like you do get to a point where you're just drowning in cash, but that's not until like end game / post game.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I do really appreciate how the crafting system works in this game. It's very quick, very snappy. It's not too convoluted. Like you can craft things generally with 1 to 2 simple items that you can find. So that's really nice. Helps you also just craft Pokeballs on the fly whenever you want to use them. There's no gyms in this game whatsoever. Gyms are a quite literal thing of the past in this game.
Thing of the future.
Thing of the future, yeah, I guess you could say. Instead, the main objective, like we mentioned before, is to take down the noble Pokemon, which you fight in almost these 3D arena battle type matches, which were actually really cool. I actually really liked those fights, and they could be pretty challenging, I found as well.
Well,
I wasn't expecting it. It took me
have
like
a
20
criticism
tries to
of
beat
them.
Avalugg.
Oh, yeah.
I have a criticism of them.
Oh, go ahead.
There's an option that they allow you to take, which is just to continue the battle from where you left off in terms of their HP. And when I discovered that, I never didn't use it because, like, why wouldn't I use it? But also, I feel like it took away from a lot of the challenge.
That's fair. I can totally understand that. I actually don't think I ever
I
used
know
that.
that there's like a bit of my fault in the equation there, but like
When you
it's there.
when you give me the easy option, I will use it.
Yes, there's like this idea in game theory. It's just like if you giving the player the path of least resistance, they will always take it.
Yes. Which I totally think that is absolutely a fair criticism. But I think in general, I still really enjoyed these fights. I didn't expect Avalugg to be the size of a building. That actually caught me off guard when I saw that fight. I was like, oh dear God, you are a big boy.
You know, you mentioned gyms earlier. I feel like stars actually serve as a very elegant, non-invasive replacement for badges. Because, you know, badges were basically progress gates. And stars are too, in a sense, but they're not. They seem mostly divorced from the story for the most part.
Yeah,
And they actually
not-
tie into the core objective, which is to catch Pokemon. As
I
we're-
think
Go
I think
ahead.
you're only required to get like the first star to open that one bridge in the first area, but I think that's it.
yeah,
that's actually pretty good because, you know, if you get to the end of the game and you decide I'm not going to bother with the rest of the Pokedex, I had a fun time, like some people did, you know,
Mm-hmm.
then you don't you had a fulfilling experience. But if it leaves the room on the table to go back, as we're with Pokemon's current design, there's 8 gyms, 8 badges to get, 8 boss battles. You have to complete all of them to beat the game, and then go to the Elite Four and then the champion.
Yeah.
It works, but the structure is so rigid that it doesn't allow for anything more.
Yeah.
It doesn't ask the player to engage with further content, as where the star system actually does.
Yeah.
And I'm actually kind of tempted to go back once I have some free time.
Oh yeah, I totally agree as well. I think the stars are a really good usage, and I definitely agree too with the gyms that the structure can be pretty rigid. I think what everybody is waiting for with the gyms is for them to give us a non-linear Pokemon game where you can pick any of the gyms in any order, and as you beat them, the other ones you haven't beaten scale up in difficulty like they all do, so you can pick any order you want but still have a gradual incline of difficulty. Like I think that's like the big thing a lot of people are waiting for. I think it's safe to say.
That would be really cool, but I'm not but I'm not like hoping on it. Like I'm not hoping for it. In any case, play Crystal Clear, which is literally this exact game in Gen 2.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not holding your breath for it because you think it might be too much effort for them.
Yeah, pretty much.
You're not wrong, sadly. But, yeah, in tandem with what we were saying before about catching Pokemon freely, completing the Pokédex is much more heavily pushed towards in this game. Like, you are much more heavily encouraged to complete the Pokédex in full in this game. In fact, it's actually how you unlock the true final boss in this game. And I would like to do it at some point because it's a lot more manageable. Like, I think this game actually did a really good job handling the not having the full Pokédex in this compared to Sword and Shield, because in Sword and Shield it was just kind of dumb that they didn't have the full Pokédex for really no good reason. But in this game, not only is it a lot more experimental, you don't have all the Pokemon true, but you're much more heavily encouraged to complete the Pokédex. And if you had every Pokemon, and there's nearly 1,000 of these suckers, that would kind of suck, having to get every single one of them.
Although over time I've realized that I don't even care about that.
About the National Dex thing.
Yeah, because it's just like, well, I'm not even gonna transfer Pokemon to this game, so why should I care?
Yeah, I guess that's true. And, I mean, yeah, it's not much of a worry for this game in general either, because there's no multiplayer functionality. Like, this is a strictly single-player Pokemon game. No multiplayer stuff at all.
Yeah, I was actually kind of surprised there wasn't any, like, PvP.
Yeah, true. Same here. But honest, if I'm being brutally honest, if sacrificing like competitive Pokemon means we get much better single player Pokemon experiences, I will gladly throw competitive Pokemon into an active volcano if it means we get.
Competitive Pokemon was solved by Showdown. Let's be real here. There's no scenario in which the in-game multiplayer experience will ever be competitive with what can be offered by that application.
Yeah.
So to that angle, it's just like if competitive Pokemon is a solved game, then screw it. Just focus on the single player aspect of things.
Like, honestly, I feel like they could have a new Pokemon Stadium game that also doubles as a battle simulator for $20 or something like that.
Oh yeah, totally. I would 100% think that could work and would be down for that. That's actually something I've kind of realized is one of the things that's holding Pokemon back compared to other RPGs, is that they also have to think about the multiplayer element of it instead of just single player, which, you know, basically every other major RPG only has to worry about the single player. So that's
Mega Rayquaza exists. They don't think about the multiplayer.
Megas in
Could
general.
you imagine if the multiplayer had this new Arceus with the rainbow plate or whatever it was, where it will just change, where Judgment just changes to whatever the opponent is weak to.
Oh my god!
And it prioritizes what it's most weak to.
Wait, that's actually a thing in this game?
Yes.
Oh no!
I think you get it with Arceus,
Competitive,
but that also requires you to complete the Pokedex other than Arceus and the event Pokemon.
Yeah, competitive Pokemon. Everyone's Arceus. Yay!
Yeah, I feel like it would be banned from the banned tier.
It's just in its own tier called Broken. But yeah, going into battling, actually, the other, and I think one of the last big major changes this game had, is that it actually switched up the battle system a bit, which I am very happy for. I think Pokemon's battle system needed that greatly.
There's a turn economy!
Yes, there's a turn economy, very similar to Final Fantasy X, actually. And
Mega 10.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you with your SMT.
I'll play more SMT though.
I'll get around to more SMT. I'm gonna get Soul Hackers 2 when it comes out. Dang it. Um,
I will play them eventually.
yeah, eventually. um, but yeah, much like Final Fantasy X or SMT, there is a turn clock, and that is centered a lot around these two new styles that you can use for each move, which is either strong style or agile style. And
Uh,
there, oh,
but you do have to like master the move first.
yes, which I actually think is pretty alright. You have to use the move first to get the other styles. And the way they work is generally, they kind of work how you think they would. Strong style gives you a stronger move, but it could end up giving your opponent more turns. And agile style, the move is weaker, but you could potentially move 2 times in a row. And I actually really love these style mechanics. It allows you to think, okay, do I want to bet it all in one shot with a strong style? Or if you're up against a Pokemon you want to catch, do I want to risk using an agile style move to get their health down just the slightest bit more, or to potentially attack 2 times in a row? I love this mechanic because I've always felt that Pokemon's battle system was getting a little rigid for a while, especially compared to the depth that other battle systems offered. So I really think that I love the turn clock and the style moves because they add a greater deal of depth that we've really never seen in a mainline Pokemon battle system before.
Dramatically freshens the turn-based RPG experience.
Yeah. Uh,
Pokemon's main claim to fame was that it had like this 18-sided type chart where you just have an extensive weakness resistance system. And that did set the series apart, but after 8 main games, it's time to introduce some new stuff.
Yes.
like what I love about this is that like some moves actually have this system baked in. Like quick attack would increase your priority, for like lack of a better term for how to describe it, and like
Yeah.
hyper beam would like decrease it. So like Shadow Sneak and Bullet Punch are suddenly insanely good because a lot of the time it just means free damage.
Uh-huh. Yeah, pretty much.
I also I liked that there's also an aspect there you didn't mention, which is how strong and agile styles also affect the accuracy.
Yes.
And that made it even more of a gamble, such as for very powerful moves such as Fire Blast or Thunder. If you use strong style, like there's a good chance you will defeat the opposing Pokemon, but if you miss, then not only did the attack miss and you didn't do it, but also there's a very high chance that you're going to lose that Pokemon you just sent out,
Because
which just makes it a very high risk, very high reward gamble, and I actually really like that aspect.
Yeah, and also one other feature that I really like in trainer battles, you cannot freely switch out every time you defeat another Pokemon now. Like in the older games, how you would say you were facing, say, Cynthia, for example, and you defeat her Spiritomb. Cynthia's about to send out Roserade. Will you switch or keep your current Pokemon in? You don't get that anymore. The trainer just instantly throws out another Pokemon that you are not warned about who it is, and that alone adds to a much greater challenge, and I really like that.
Yeah, if you like that, you might want to play the other games with the battle style set.
That's what set does, actually?
Yeah.
Okay, I never really messed around with the battle functions in the other games. The only thing I would really change is set the text to fast, because that's what you do for every RPG. But
Yeah, I've been playing on Seth for a while. I don't know, I really like it.
okay, I actually might go ahead and do that then in future games. Dumb old me. But yeah, I really, really like that. The battle system in general in this game is just a lot nicer. And even just small little things that I really like how you don't transition to a different, distinct battle screen. You just fight wherever you were in the overworld with the
I also I felt like there was more information given to the player than there were in previous entries.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah.
Like, it allows you to make more informed decisions, which is a good thing on account of the fact that the difficulty is much higher.
Yeah, or even just things they didn't even have to do. Like, you can freely roam around. Like, you can move your character around the battlefield during a battle. There's no...
you can actually... I didn't notice this until the end of the game almost, but if you're moving your trainer around and you're in a battle with wild Pokemon, you can just leave.
Oh, you can run away?
That's another way to run away. You can just move your trainer away and leave.
Oh, shit. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's actually kind of cool. I never really ran from battles. I really don't run from many battles in general in RPGs, but that's actually really cool. I didn't realize that. But yeah, you can just...
And what's really nice is that when you know you're about to win, you can just run away and then just save yourself a little time.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. And, like, you know, you can move your character, even if you're not going to run away, you can just move your character around the battlefield, get different angles of the battle, kind of like what Dragon Quest XI does. And that's actually just, it's a cool little detail. They're just these little things that add up that just make the experience overall better, if you ask me. And with all that said, I just think the gameplay in general is, like, I love this. I love this style, and I am so happy that from the looks of it, Scarlet and Violet are going to be taking a lot from this game and building upon it. That makes me so happy, and I really want to see what those games are all about. And so I think it's safe to say you guys generally really like this gameplay structure too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Another thing I forgot to mention. I feel like this game does backtracking better than the previous titles as well. The thing is, every time you get a new ride Pokemon, that opens up more of the areas that you couldn't visit previously.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's also an element of this baked into the design, because they knew that you were going to backtrack, because there's a late game cleanup you have to do in the post game to get all the Pokedex entries. But they also have these alpha Pokemon in the wild, which are very aggressive and very powerful, and there's no hope of you catching them when you usually first run into them. But if you come back later after you have new ride Pokemon, so you view new areas, then you can actually catch these Pokemon.
Yeah.
And I think that's a better incentive to backtrack than the series has ever had, where it's usually just, okay, you find an item, maybe you find one or two cool rare Pokemon. I think that this one just does it way better, in my opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it handles it really well. Like, say when you get, like, Basculegion and you can travel along the water areas in, like, the first map when you go back to it. Because I think I and a lot of other people just jumped into the water thinking you could swim. But, nope.
Although, if you're crafty, I'm pretty sure you can, like, just throw a bunch of, like, bee barrel, I think, in the water, and then just use them as a bridge.
Oh yeah, I saw someone do that. They like kept throwing out and retracting their bee barrels to like build a continuing bridge.
Like the game doesn't care if you try and sequence break.
No, it does not, and I kind of like that. Yeah, just this gameplay in general. Like I said, I love it. I think they handled this very well. You know, obviously some room for improvement here and there with a brand new style. But I feel that this is a very, very good shakeup and a good growth for what Pokemon needed after being stagnant for so long. And I think it's easily one of the strongest parts of the game, which I guess now we could probably transition into what I think we're all going to agree is probably the weakest part of the game, and that's the presentation.
I actually do have one more thing, a couple things actually left to mention on my list of shit on the gameplay, but I'll just go through them real quick.
Yeah, take all the time
First of all, the difficulty curve being very steep it actually incentivizes you to change out your Pokemon that you are catching.
Oh
So you'll
yes.
have it like
Yeah.
this evolving, revolving team. And I actually liked that because the thing is, like, in most Pokemon games, you can just lock in like your team of 6 within like the first 3 badges.
Mm-hmm.
You almost no problem usually. But in this time, you actually have to make a conscious choice in a lot of cases, and I actually did end up changing out a couple of my team members, which I almost never would have done in a previous entry.
Yeah, that actually is a really good point that I probably shouldn't have mentioned that. You change up your team a lot, like not just for necessity, but there was a lot of Pokemon there was like, oh, this is really cool, but oh shoot, my team's full. Like I never had a harder time deciding what I wanted my team to be in a Pokemon game than with this one. And that is a good thing. That is a
Less
good
is
thing.
more.
Yep.
Yeah, I was pretty much like playing it like I was pretty much playing like an SMT game, just like, well, okay, I'm gonna bring a Ponyta because I really need the type coverage.
Yeah. Yeah, basically.
It is
Uh.
Mega 10 like in that regard. You just use in Mega 10, you cannon fodder your demons away at the first available opportunity in order to fuse them and then or use them for other things. And Pokemon Legends Arceus kind of incentivizes that because they actually like reward you for releasing old Pokemon that you're no longer using.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really really good. It handles it really smartly.
If they wanted to rip off SMT fully, I'd be fine with the introduction of proper Pokemon fusion.
Oh my god, Pokemon Fusion. Oh, that'd be cool.
Although like they probably make it like SMT and would probably piss off like most people who haven't played SMT.
Oh god. Suddenly stat moves are much more important.
Fuck it, give me press turns too.
When do we get our Pokemon equivalent of Beast Eye?
Also, speaking of RPGs, they probably they just I'm gonna copy your homework but change it a little bit so it's not obvious, and then it was still obvious. They did take some ideas from FromSoft, I noticed, because with the difficulty being much higher, you're much a higher risk to lose and die, and when you do, you lose items, which is a far more punishing thing than just
Losing
being
money.
sent back to the last town and losing some money. That's bigger than ever.
It's like
as a punishment, and in addition to that, they incentivize the few online interactions that the game does have in that fashion. Again, like a FromSoft game, which is a bit strange to talk about, but that's actually good.
It's
Because I
This
think
truly
that
is. This truly is the Dark Souls of Pokemon.
I knew that you were going to say that.
You took my joke, damn it. I was gonna say that. But
Yeah, I actually really like FromSoft's online interactions in their games. So, you know what? If Pokemon's going to rip off some mechanics like that for its online interactions, be my guest. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I agree. I really like the idea of finding other players' satchels to help them get their items back. That's a really, and it gives you your own rewards too. Like, that's a really good way to incentivize helping your fellow Pokemon trainers in a lot of ways.
I also wanted to mention that, you guys kind of mentioned this earlier. The AI, the few trainers that there are insanely intelligent.
Oh, yes.
And I hope that this continues.
Yeah, especially Volo.
Oh, when you hear...
And I also liked that difficulty still manifested in spite of the fact that there were fewer Pokemon than what you have. You can carry around 6. I think the max trainer that I saw before the end of the game was 4, and he still managed to kick my ass.
Yeah. Yeah, there can be some pretty tough trainers in this game, even with less Pokemon. And like Flame said, with Volo, God, when you hear the piano, the Cynthia flashback started again. Like, no, I beat you when I was 9. I'm not going through this again.
I beat you when I was 9 when I had a Toys R Us event level 100 Regigigas. I'm not going back. You can't make me.
Excuse me, I did not have that event. I didn't have event Pokemon. I had to beat her legitimately, and it was painful, and I was scared. But,
Oh yeah, here's another thing I like. side quests and the way they're implemented, they're very non-invasive. And given that there's an actual quest log now,
Uh-huh.
For tracking, unlike the rest of the franchise, I'm pretty sure. I actually felt compelled to do them, and especially considering that they tie into the core objective of actually catching Pokemon most of the time, they're just fun to do.
And I really like all the little side stories they had. Like, I'm pretty sure there was one where we have to like stop a Mr. Mime from like making a bunch of invisible walls throughout Jubilife.
My favorite by far was the one where basically there's like this situation where there's a drift flim on the beach, and these children keep going out to play with it. And if you know that Pokemon's Pokedex entry from recent games, that could have gotten really messed up.
Yes.
And that I was like, wow, that's actually playing with the lore. We actually see where this Pokedex entry in its lore actually came from.
I don't think I did that one because I was mainly just like, what's happening to these kids? Maybe I'll get to it.
And then you never did.
Yeah, but I think my like favorite side quest story wise, it might have been like a few quests. There was this one guy in Jubilife with an Eevee, and like his Eevee goes missing, and he's just like, "Oh my god, where did my Eevee go?" And then you find it later as an Umbreon, and it just evolved like without him knowing.
And then and there's also the guy in the front of the Galaxy Patrol Center who wants a Beautifly, but then you see his Wurmple evolve into God, what is it? Oh, what's the second evolution of it? I forget what it's called.
Cascoon?
Yeah, Cascoon. And you're like, oh no, that's not gonna be a Beautifly, buddy.
You know what, man? We kind of touched on it with the introduction of a quest log, but this game I noticed has like a gigantic incline and increase, I should say, in the number of quality of life improvements.
Yes.
Like, I have in my notes here the introduction of the link cable item. That is such a no-brainer, batshit obvious item to have been introduced before. That has never been introduced.
Like,
honestly,
honestly,
it's just so good. I like it. Please do more stuff like that.
Like, I'm amazed they actually put it in the game.
Yeah, I mean, you would kind of need it for Pokemon who were previously like trade evolutions, and that's not a thing anymore.
Because...
But there's more than that. Like, the whole game has a gigantic, like, quality of life passover that previous entries didn't, such as, being able to change your moves at will, change the name at will, changing the names at will, highlighting more information in combat, etc., etc.
Although I did not take advantage of changing out moves at will as much as I should have.
Yeah, I love that change. Probably one of the only things that I kind of wish the game kept from Sword and Shield, but I also understand why somewhat, is that you can't access your boxes at any time. Like, you can't freely switch out who's in your party at any moment.
Honestly, I didn't even miss that.
You know what? That's one of the few quality of life changes that Sword of Shield had. There's just like, I don't like this one. Because it makes the game too easy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like, I was never really in a situation where I thought... I was never really in a situation where, like, I wanted to do this. Like, you don't really need to, is the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This
And I thought it was a bad change in Sword and Shield, so you know what? It not being here, I don't care.
Wow.
Keep it gone.
This makes life too quality.
But no, they actually organically improved the other gameplay systems here, like the link cable, like changing moves, etc. So it's just like they stack the deck against you in terms of the difficulty as compared to other Pokemon games, but they give you the tools to fight back with these kinds of changes that were just never there before, and that's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I wholeheartly agree. Yeah, thank you for bringing up those points about gameplay, too. That's a lot I probably should have brought up. But yeah, those, so I think that's pretty much all what we have to say about gameplay overall.
More or less, that's like looking over my notes here. I think I mentioned everything on my notes.
Same for you, Flame?
Those like dimensional rifts that I mentioned before are really cool.
Oh yeah, the dimensional rifts are really, really cool.
It makes some Pokemon really annoying to get, but otherwise, you get a lot of
Yeah.
like really good items from it.
Why can you only get Magnemite in those areas?
I mean, it makes sense, kind of, and like Porygon too.
Yeah, I guess, but still, it's just like, I don't know. You didn't have to go that far. But overall, yeah, gameplay is very, very solid, but, as I mentioned before, we can probably go on to what's probably the weaker part of the game, and that's the presentation.
It's dog shit.
Yeah.
Blunt as always.
Listen to this, just blunt. It's dog shit. It's horrible. It's so bad I had to buy a M Classic video upscaler to make it look at least semi-presentable on my 4K TV.
And like it's really annoying. It's like so close to looking fine. Like if the textures were a little better and like they adjusted the shading a bit, like
The game
it would
needed.
look fine.
The game has no anti-aliasing at all. Ask me how I know.
Oh yeah, that too. Like apparently the game runs at 1080p, but honestly, you could have fooled me.
I would have much preferred. I would have preferred 900p with any anti-aliasing pass. Any.
Straight to the point as always, my friend. But
There's none, and I want to know how I know that there's none, because when you plug in the M Classic into into my TV with the game turned on, and you can turn it on and turn it off with a switch on the device right there, and if I get up to the TV to see the comparison, I can literally count the pixels on my trainer's arms when I'm next to the TV, and it just goes away when I turn on the upscaler.
Yeah, and like I'll look at the footage that I recorded for it. I don't know what it is about the game, but like the video compression just makes it look worse than it already is.
It's and it's not like the Switch can't do this well. I mean, Astral Chain exists, Smash Ultimate exists,
Luigi's Mansion 3, Bayonetta 3 is coming out on this thing.
Xenoblade 3 is coming out, and that game looks immaculate.
Yeah, hell, new Pokemon Snap looks really good.
I'm sure that some of it is probably down to the fact that they're still using the Pokemon X and Y engine, which has just been modified into this, like, Bethesda's engine, where it's just like, oh, it's just this Frankenstein's monsters abomination of tech that should have been abandoned half a decade ago.
Yeah, I mean, I will say I think Legends Arceus looks better than Sword and Shield, but
That's not saying much, considering
Yeah.
Sword and Shield at points looks literally like an N64 game
Oh,
at points.
okay, I wouldn't go that far. But
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far, but definitely like
PS2.
GameCube, but not in like a good way.
Yeah, but it's like
I've seen there are GameCube games. The reason I say that is because the GameCube games that come to my mind, or that era of games, the games that come to my mind are like Super Mario Sunshine, Pokemon XD, etc. Games that actually look really good. And this looks, Sword and Shield definitively looks worse than them. And at points, Legends is barely better than what I could expect on your average PS2 game. And
yeah,
that's sad.
the graphics are easily the weakest part of this game, and it's unfortunate that Pokemon is still dealing with this, especially because it is the highest grossing media property in history, and you think that would allocate to better graphics because you can have more money to dedicate to the technology, but
It's not the money, it's the time.
yeah, very true.
It's like how anime fans will keep talking about, like, oh, well, they clearly spent more budget on this episode. One Piece episode 1017 came out. What did the fans say? Oh, they spent all their budget on this episode. No, they didn't. They spent all their time on this episode. And, you know, with Pokemon's rigid schedule, they just don't have the time to fix all of this shit. And, like, you know, you'd say that to a Pokemon fan, and a lot of these people will just say to you, well, that's not their fault. They got to work with the trading cards in the anime. I don't care. I don't care. What I care about is the end product that I am being given.
and the game
And when I know that that is subpar in ways, then slam the brakes.
And the games are the driving force of the series. The games dictate the cards, the anime, the merchandise. They drive everything else. The side products don't drive the games. So,
Exactly.
honestly, like if the main games are better, I feel like that would end up making the other stuff. People would be more interested in the other stuff.
I
yes.
mean, need I point out that like Zelda team, they invested an entire generation working on Breath of the Wild 1, and they had basically no promise that the game was going to do any much so particularly better than any of the prior Zelda games. Like Zelda games averaged something like 5 to 6 million copies sold, but they produced one of the most polished games of all time, and Breath of the Wild has
It's like what
gone
25.
over that cap like 5 times.
It's like what 25 million or something like
over
that.
that now.
Oh my
Over
god.
that now. So it's
I
like,
mean, at least it's a good ass game.
Yeah.
I know that Pokemon can fart and sell 15 million copies, but there's no reason that Pokemon can't have one of these extremely highly polished, beautiful games like Breath of the Wild, like Mario Odyssey, like Luigi's Mansion 3, like Smash Ultimate, like Xenoblade 3, etc.,
Wait.
etc., etc.
Which, to give them the benefit of the doubt, it does seem like we're finally starting to get there, because from what we've seen of Scarlet and Violet, those do look like a significant improvement over what we have had before. Like
I
Scarlet.
don't know, man. I feel like you're going from it with Sword and Shield. You were like PS2, bad PS2, and then like Legends is just like average PS2, and now Scarlet and Violet just looks like late PS2.
Hey, Kingdom Hearts 2 still looks fantastic. I will have you know.
Oh
and
boy,
also
we don't even
Kingdom
want to
Hearts
talk
2
about the Square games.
Kingdom Hearts 2 also looks better than Scarlet and Violet so far.
Well, okay, I'll wait till we see more of Scarlet and Violet, but like, I mean, I think they may be finally starting to get the hang of it, and we have mentioned this off recordings before, but I feel like we also may have to give Game Freak a tiny bit of slack here, because they've never worked with big HD home consoles before Sword and Shield.
Mm-hmm. That's a thing that's just
Uh.
like, if they're having troubles with it, I don't know if it's like a Japanese pride thing or if it's like a like a concern about the budget of the production. But if they're having significant troubles with you know, getting all of this to run and look good, first of all, I'd advocate for at least an 18-month delay. And that sounds extreme, but it'd be worth it.
Yeah.
And 2, I'd also advocate for a probably just to seek out help from an external another developer. Like, you know, people have thrown out the idea, why doesn't Game Freak go look for help from Monolith's Kyoto studio?
Yeah, or hell, what, you know, it was a much smaller game in terms of scale, but we saw what Bandai Namco could do with new Pokemon Snap. Why not let them handle it?
Right.
Although, like, given how similar Scarlet and Violet looks to new Pokemon Snap, they might be helping.
Maybe.
Because, like, it seems like the art style is pretty similar, just based on, like, the human characters.
It is somewhat, yeah, and I mean, hell, I'm totally down for that. I mean, we've seen what Bandai Namco can do when they want to put all their effort into the visuals of an RPG. My lord, Tales of Arise, that is a work of art right there, in terms of visuals.
Although they worked on that for like 4+ years, so.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, see, you know what? That's what we were talking about. Pokemon should take a break. Tales of Arise was the longest gap between main Tales games ever. It was
Okay, so if you go into the development timeline for Scarlet and Violet, like the longest time you could probably theoretically give them as a development timeline would be maybe 18 months to 20 months. And that's terrifying.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Because, like,
oh, go ahead.
We have to assume that Legends probably began development when the base game of Sword and Shield finished. So they had, like, 20 months in the can. Okay? And then we could probably assume that Scarlet and Violet might have began when Sword and Shield's DLC began. But then you also have to account for COVID, which would have put things back by 3 months. And you're looking at like 18 months when all is said and done, and that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah,
frankly put.
Legends Arceus was probably delayed because of COVID, because it released at a weird time, like late January. That's a really weird release date for Pokemon. But
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, like, it's unfortunately that we're getting to the point where Pokemon is trying to stick by its old ideals of how to make a game and how long to make a game, because like their old time frames, they could work for the Game Boy, they could work for the GBA, they could work for the DS, and even in some ways the 3DS, because those developments were nowhere near as demanding what it took to make a high quality game on those consoles. But on the Switch, you need a lot more time to meet these new standards, and they're unfortunately just not giving the time that's needed.
Mm-hmm. I think that Pokemon Company is just coming to expect having a new game every year to 2 years, and as a result, it's just like
You can't do that.
it just doesn't work in an HD development pipeline unless you take the Call of Duty approach of having a rotating cast of development studios, which they did, and it hasn't alleviated the problem.
Exactly. It's just unfortunately a thing where Pokemon needs to learn to slow it down, to take a break every once in a while. Like, we
I
can.
feel like if Legends Arceus came out November of this year, I wouldn't be compelled to give the game like an 8 and an 8.5 because of its presentation. I feel like they would have ironed most of that out, and Scarlet and Violet would have been just like, okay, it's going to be winter 2023,
Yeah.
and then Legends gets to be the best game that it possibly can be with no compromises in that regard.
Yeah. I mean, that's my biggest issue with Scarlet and Violet. Like, if those games were late 2023, I would have zero problems. No problems whatsoever. I wish those games were next year, not this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, honestly, if it wasn't Pokemon, I would have assumed that it's just gonna get a delay.
Yeah. I agree 100% with you. It's just like, I'm optimistic for Scarlet and Violet, and it's like, do we really need them now after we just got BDSP and Legends?
Mm-hmm. It's just a shame because I feel like Pokemon Company kind of failed Game Freak here on Pokemon Legends Arceus, because I feel like Pokemon Legends Arceus deserved more time and arguably more respect than when it got.
Yeah.
Because now it's just going to be kind of swept under the rug by Scarlet and Violet, and I don't want that to happen.
I don't think it's going to be swept under the rug necessarily, because keep in mind, Legends Arceus, we just got the sales numbers for Nintendo recently.
Yep.
It sold like what? 12
Almost 13.
Yeah,
almost 13.
Yeah, like 12.6 million in 3 months. That's
Didn't it sell like 6.5 million in launch weekend?
Yes.
Yes, it did.
In
It was the fastest, biggest Pokemon launch weekend ever.
Yeah, it's already like, it's only like 2 million behind Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, and BDSP.
That notably, that sales information wasn't 3 months. It was like 9 weeks.
Oh God! Wow, that's even.
Damn.
Oh wow. But yeah,
It's almost like if you make a good game, people will buy it.
Yeah, and that's also keeping in mind that BDSP has an extra 3 months on Legends. So yeah, I think Legends is gonna break, like, it's easily gonna hit like 15 million, if not like 18 million. I would absolutely love if Legends beat out Sword and Shield in sales. Like, I would scream from my rooftop if that happens, because yes, quality won, but I don't know if it'll go that far. But yeah, ultimately, like we were just saying, we kind of got a little sidetracked there, but I'd say it was still relevant enough. The graphics are just sadly the weakest part of this game, and it's something Pokemon seriously needs to improve on going forward from this point. But I would say not all aspects of the presentation are bad. Like the music, for example. I think the music in this game is fantastic. Like,
I don't even grade that with presentation on account of the fact that just like it's expected for RPGs to have good music.
yeah.
If they don't, the game can very easily be disregarded.
Sonic Chronicles, The Dark Brotherhood, anyone?
Honestly,
Ooh, that's an affront to God because that is a double failure.
Ah!
You failed as an RPG soundtrack and as a Sonic soundtrack. Whoop-de-friggin' do.
Is it bad that I actually kind of like that game a little bit? Like, I don't think that game is all that bad. I kind of have fun with it.
I think you're a bit of a lost Sonic fan.
Oh, shut up! Oh,
I mean, I can have fun with Sonic 06, so who am I to judge?
Fair enough, I guess. Although, you mentioned something earlier, Flame. You said, it's almost like if you make a good game, that people buy it. I just want to point out that the last mainline Pokemon game that I bought was Sun and Moon. Before Legends.
Yeah.
I just didn't feel compelled at all to invest at all in what the series was giving me. I just thought that it was just failure after failure after failure. And I honestly got to a point after Sword and Shield, it's just like I was wondering if like I would ever indulge in the series ever again, especially after 2020 I get into Persona, and that leads to me getting into the rest of Mega 10. I'm just like, wow, there's been a better Monster Collector RPG series here this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of a sad experience, and I felt like I was missing this part of myself, my childhood, my history in gaming that just wasn't there anymore. I did notice that.
Yeah.
It was sad, and I'm just glad that I actually they sorted shit out enough that I felt good enough supporting this game again, because I am people will criticize you for feeling a certain way with this. So it's like, well, the game's just going to sell anyways. I reject that. I am a vote with your wallet kind of person. If a game is junk, I'm just not going to buy it. And yeah, that does exclude you from having an opinion in some regards, but I'm not the kind of person to reinforce supporting crap. So
Oh, yeah.
I'm glad that the series, at least today, isn't crap at the moment. And I'm glad. I couldn't be happier to say that there's a decent Pokemon game out now.
Yeah, there's just so much more of a positive vibe in the community around Legends compared to Sword and Shield. And like, I do agree with you with the vote with your wallet thing, but unfortunately, it's kind of the rare case with Pokemon where even if you voted with your wallet, it sadly wouldn't matter, because I said this all the time back when Sword and Shield was getting built up and shortly after it came out. As much as I dislike this game, and I know a lot of other people do, even if every single person who had an issue with Sword and Shield didn't buy it, it would still sell like 15 million at bare minimum, because Pokemon has such a huge casual following.
Honestly, a lot of people just don't care.
Yeah. Sadly, yeah, voting with your wallet kind of doesn't work with Pokemon. So you kind of just have to hope for the best with this series, because Pokemon is too big to fail. It will never fail because it is just so enormous at this point.
I don't know about that. I feel like every empire falls eventually.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, we have seen the decline of Call of Duty over these past several years, so who knows at this point. But, yeah, I mean, hopefully Pokemon can improve with the presentation, because in general, they are on the right track. Like, Legends had a much more positive feel around it than Sword and Shield, Let's Go, and like Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, like even people like us and like even big YouTubers who were super critical of Pokemon at the time, they really liked this game and really ended up giving it the thumbs up. So it's like, yeah, Pokemon really can still put stuff out that is quality. They just need to give it the time and the effort is really the big thing.
I just did something stupid for the sake of your video here. I calculated how much time passed between the two days, the time that I last bought a Pokemon game mainline to the time that I most recently bought a Pokemon game mainline. Between the release of Sun and Moon and Legends Arceus, 1,897 days.
Oh my god.
1,897 days.
That sounds oddly close to the number of days since the last TF2 update.
Oh! Oh, Flame out here with the TF2 burns. Oh, damn. Oh, get your shit together, Valve, seriously.
I say it in pain.
Oh, I feel you too, man. TF2 is like, Valve, please care. Please stop just sitting on your Steam money. But back on track. Yeah, like the presentation with Legends Arceus, it needs work. But like I said, maybe if you're like me and you count music compared to Scott, you do think the music is a good part of the presentation, and it's very, very.
Oh no, I think the music is spectacular in Legends, but I just treat that as a separate category of a review at this point.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I can
Because honestly, there's like a surprising number of games that are like bad, look terrible, but their music is really good. Sonic 06.
Hello, Mega Man X7.
Mega Man X6. Mega Man X6's soundtrack is amazing. That game is a pile of dog shit. I hate that game. And I say that as someone who absolutely adores Mega Man. But yeah,
that game's gonna get fun that game's gonna be fun when I eventually get to it.
Oh, have you played it before?
No, but I'm not looking forward to either.
Oh, maybe I need to be invited onto your channel for that one. Oh, that game. Oh god. But yeah, so I guess now maybe we can even just go into like general thoughts, likes and dislikes, and final thoughts about the game. Personally, I love this game. I think it added a lot of great changes that were not only liked but also desperately needed for Pokemon. Like this game, I feel very similar to this game about how I feel to Kirby and the Forgotten Land versus Star Allies. This is the game that should have come out first on the Switch, like Forgotten Land for Kirby, because this is the game that actually pushed the series forward and evolved things and made changes, unlike Sword and Shield for Pokemon and Star Allies for Kirby. Those two were safe, boring, uninteresting experiences, whereas the game that followed them, those felt like the Breath of the Wild or the Mario Odyssey of their series. They're the ones that shook things up and really tried.
Yeah, that's a really good comparison.
Yeah, you're completely right. I think that the Nintendo Switch and its library is largely defined by a incentive and also desire on part of the developers to try and achieve what they might not have been able to in the past. And I still have some issues with Pokemon Legends, but I think that this is the shot in the arm that was desperately needed. And I do think that, I don't feel strange that it's sitting alongside this grand pantheon of titles that is building up in the Switch's library. It feels like I can point at that and say, okay, that was the Pokemon game. That was the good one.
Yes. This is the game that deserves to sit beside Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Metroid Dread, Smash Ultimate. Like, this is the game that pushed the series. This is the game that should have been on store shelves. I think it was like November 16th, 2019. This should have been on the shelves instead of Sword and Shield.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
And
I think quoting Flame here, it's like you look at a list of Switch's library, and it's just like you're kind of listing off a best games of all times list.
mm-hmm.
I wouldn't necessarily say that for Pokemon Legends, but I will say that I have more hope in the series than I have at any point in the last 1,896 days.
Yeah, maybe not best games of all time, but I think as far as best Pokemon games go, you can argue it.
Probably top 3.
Yeah.
Probably top 3.
Uh-huh. Yeah. This is up there for me with Platinum. Like I've always said, the peak of Pokemon for me for the longest time was Platinum to Black and White 2. Platinum, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, Black and White 1, Black and White 2.
Although and if I ever want to replay Pokemon Legends Arceus, I'm just gonna play it on Yuzu. Because there I could force an anti-aliasing filter and run at 60 FPS.
No.
Thanks, Game Freak. I shouldn't say thanks, Game Freak. Thanks, Pokemon Company.
You fool. This is on the record. The ninjas are headed to your location as we speak.
I bought the friggin' game!
Oh, man. But yeah, this just feels like it's up there with the peak of Pokemon. Like, originally when I was thinking about somewhat doing a review of this by myself at first, I was gonna make a joke that, like, oh man, it's great to see Pokemon again. It's crazy that it went away for 10 years and just never did anything after Black and White 2, but it's great to see it again.
Oh, man, that is cold.
I mean, I'm sorry.
I really like Sun and Moon, though.
I'm on the opposite, and I do not like Sun and Moon at all. But
Sun and Moon was a nothing game to me. It's just like, it was so inoffensive that I couldn't hate it.
Yeah, and I know you like X and Y, Scott. I know you have a soft spot for those games.
Although if it was divorced from the context in which I played it, I don't know if I would like X and Y that much.
So more personal reasons.
Yes.
That's totally fair. I totally respect that. But yeah, I just, in general, these feel like what Pokemon severely needed, and I'm hoping that, they do learn from this game and push forward with changes it's made, which it does look like they're doing, because, Scarlet and Violet are really looking like they're taking notes from Legends, which I greatly appreciate. And 2, I really hope they continue with this line, because I think a lot of us need to remember, this isn't just Pokemon Legends, it's Pokemon Legends Arceus, so the Legends name can extend to its own separate line. Like, we could get Pokemon Legends Rayquaza, Pokemon Legends Zygarde, Pokemon Legends Kyurem. Like, we can... what were you gonna say, Flame?
This is real quick. If they did another one of these, I would go for either Johto or Unova next.
Oh yeah,
So Pokemon Legends Ho-Oh.
Yeah, probably like Legends Ho-Oh or Kyurem.
They could just do Celebi. Call it that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, Celebi could really work. Yeah, like
depends on what the story of the game is, really.
Oh yeah, I mean, if it's in Johto, I feel like the obvious story to do is the fate of the burned tower and how Raikou, Entei, and Suicune were born.
Just confirm the theory at this point that they were evolutions.
Yeah, you could totally do that. In Unova, you could do like Pokemon would probably have to take a bit of a risk here talking about it, but touch on the Unovan civil war of truth versus ideals. Like,
yeah, this would have to be the story of how Kyurem became what it is now.
Yeah, basically. And
it would be amazing
if you wanted,
at least story-wise.
If you wanted to do Kalos, you could touch on AZ originally building the Armageddon weapon, or you could touch more on Zygarde, because Lord knows Zygarde needs some expanding. But
Yeah, I think that it to me, I don't know why, but uh this kind of feels like a Fire Emblem Echo situation to me, where I feel like it's something that's so batshit obvious to occur, but I don't know why, but I can't shake the feeling that it won't.
oh,
Because like the whole idea with Fire Emblem fans is they said, oh, well, we could just have the Echoes moniker to continue a whole sub-series of remakes. Or should say reboots or reimaginings, because
yeah.
Shadows of Valentia was completely divorced in some regards from the original Gaiden.
Yeah, Shadows of Valentia.
But it just didn't happen, and I don't know. I hope that they continue the Pokemon Legends sub-series.
Yeah, although
Will they? I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, to be totally fair, there is a big rumor going around right now that's been going around for a while that potentially the Echoes line for Fire Emblem is continuing. You know, we don't know. That rumor could be wrong, but hey, if that continues, I don't think there's much of a reason to not think that Legends couldn't potentially continue for Pokemon, especially because they went out of their way to give it this distinctive name, and this game, like we just mentioned before, is selling really damn well.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if there's one thing that convinces Pokemon Company, like, it's friggin' money, sadly.
Yeah, it's selling great, it reviewed great, it's easily the most positively received Pokemon game we have had in years. So, I don't really see much of a reason to not continue with the Legends line. Like, you've got a winning formula here, just run with it. I mean, shit, like, why not do more with it? People clearly want more with it, so why not?
You know what? I'll put my hope there and put my eggs in that basket and just pray for the best.
Yeah, sometimes that's all you can do, really. But, yeah, I guess if you guys wanted to give any more general closing thoughts on what you liked and disliked about this game, how you felt, and any hopes for the future, if either of you want to go.
I knew that this game was going to be something interesting from the start of the announcement when they revealed the starter Pokemon, and it wasn't either 3 new Pokemon or the original Sinnoh starters. That to me was an instant signal that something different was going to be attempted here, and I'm glad that I was right and that feeling carried throughout.
Yeah, this absolutely was something different.
Something that they desperately needed.
Oh, yes.
Now, although I've said it before in private many times, Pokemon is like Sonic the Hedgehog. It has an infinite capacity to disappoint. And if Generations was the shot in the arm for Sonic a decade ago, maybe this was the shot in the arm for Pokemon here and now.
Yeah.
Just don't let that fizzle out like Sonic's did.
Although, speaking of Sonic, here's hoping Frontiers can be that shot in the arm, because it's really looking like it could be.
Please. Just be good.
I've got my... Hey.
I feel like another thing is about this series that was a problem. The story goes, apparently Pokemon Company had absolutely zero faith in the success of Nintendo Switch at all.
Really?
That was, yeah, like one of the people that worked Pokemon Company, I think it was Tatsumi Kimishima, who was originally at Pokemon Company. They didn't think it was going to work. And that's why they largely moved into mobile.
Oh.
So, that's probably another part of the problem is that they originally bet against Nintendo and Nintendo Switch. So they didn't have that same faith that the rest of Nintendo's development staffs had. So
they bet against what has a very high chance of being Nintendo's most successful console ever.
It's the first system in a long time that has a legit chance of taking down the PS2.
Yes, arguably the first system ever that has a real chance at taking down the PS2.
DS did, Nintendo just cut it off at the end for some reason.
Oh, okay. Well,
video game video game journalist a month before the Switch came out why the Switch will fail.
Video game journalists 5.5 years later, why the Nintendo Switch is going to... Nintendo Switch has surpassed the PS4 in the USA.
It's even kind of funny how the Switch is almost a repeat of the Wii when it comes to its success, because back in the day you had people always talking about, oh, what's winning this generation, the PS2 or the Xbox 360 as it was going on. Meanwhile, the Wii was just completely running away with the generation in the background. And nowadays you've got, oh, is the PS5 or the Series X selling better month on month? The Switch is like doing triple both of their numbers every month.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the difference between the Switch and the Wii is the Switch has a way higher attach rate.
Yes, absolutely.
Switch software is about to surpass the total lifetime software sales of the Nintendo Wii, probably in the next update or two.
Yeah, like, it's like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe almost has a 50% attach rate, which is ridiculous. Like, that's absurd.
I mean, that game alone probably bankrolled like half of Nintendo's first-party efforts throughout the generation.
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
It's the best-selling racing game of all time, so that'll do that. Oh my gosh, but yeah, like, I totally agree with you. This is the shot in the arm that Pokemon needed, and like we were jokingly saying before, Sonic, can you please do the same? I'm a blue boy, please.
Flame, you have anything last minute to add here?
I wouldn't like say Legends is one of my favorite games of the series, mainly because I've played a lot of them way too many times
Fair.
than what is healthy. But
I played every mainline entry except Sword and Shield at least once.
Nice.
But it is a really good game. You should play it, definitely.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. If you plan on getting any Pokemon game in the near future on modern hardware or on the Switch in general, it should be this one. It should be Legends Arceus, because it's the best one, no question, and I think we all agree on that. And at the end of the day, this really just needs to be what Pokemon needs more of. It needs more innovation, it needs more time, and it needs this level of effort. And like I've been trying to get that energy out in this whole podcast, I'm hoping it's what Scarlet and Violet follow, because I know I'm thinking a bit more positively on it than I think you two are, because I know, Scott, you've said multiple times you have very little faith in Scarlet and Violet.
Seems like the same problem that Sword and Shield had, but upscaled.
Oh, God.
I'm in the same boat as I was with Legends. Please be good, please be good, please be good.
Yeah, that's pretty much me too. But they showed me that they can make a good game this time, so I don't really see what could stop them from making another great game again. And hopefully they can keep up with that, because this really helped restore my faith in Game Freak in particular. Like, this really showed me that Game Freak can still make something good if they really want to try and put in the effort.
I never lost faith in Game Freak. What I lost lost faith in was the Pokemon IP and how much of a juggernaut it was, and how there was just this apathy, just total apathy on the part of the brand and Pokemon Company to recognize these deep-seated issues.
Yeah.
And I still think that some of these issues still persist, but
Oh, yeah.
if there was a time to slam the friggin' brakes and do a post-mortem to examine what the hell went wrong, it was after Sword and Shield. Unfortunately, that didn't really happen. So we just have to fly by the seat of our pants and just hope for the best for now.
Yeah.
I mean, some people will, I'm gonna make a comparison here. It might be controversial. Some people hate the fact that Metroid Other M almost killed the series. I actually like that, because what happened in that 6 year gap, that the absence of the series. Nintendo slammed the goddamn brakes and said, okay, what the hell? What the hell went wrong here? And they kept that in mind, and then it leads us to the present where we have Metroid Dread, and it's one of the best titles in its series.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have happened if they continued to pump out more Metroid games in the interim.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you just have to pump the damn brakes. And another good example of this this sort of disaster in motion where plans are stacked upon one another. Justice League, anyone? That movie?
Oh!
Like, that movie was a failure because Batman vs. Superman was a failure, but they were making both of them at the same time on this rigid schedule. And they had no time to do a post-mortem after Batman vs. Superman to see what the hell went wrong.
Yeah.
And that's just that's a recipe for disaster, and I feel like Pokemon Company has been playing with fire with that.
Yeah, sometimes you need to hit rock bottom and look at what you did wrong to improve. That's what happened with Sonic after 06. After that, they got out Unleashed, which still had its own problems, but was a massive improvement. And then that was followed by Colors and then eventually Generations, which is one of the best games in the entire franchise.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it wasn't so much that they had slammed the brakes as hard, considering when did Unleashed come out?
Unleashed came out only 2 years after 06.
Maybe 2 years.
Yeah, because
Unleashed... I mean, considering that it's a platformer, they don't take as long as to develop. They had some time to know what went wrong.
Yeah,
Still,
Unleashed was 08.
I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful, man. More than I've been in the past.
Yeah, same here. I mean, hell, that's the reason why I'm hopeful for Scarlet and Violet, because they showed me here that they can still do something good when they want to. So, here's hoping, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, so, I think that's pretty much all that we need to say here. And, so... Thank you all for watching, everybody. If you're still here after this day, 2 hours. Oh my lord, we talk for too long in these things.
We go into everything.
Yeah,
I mean, that's worth it in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. I was just more joking than anything else, but yeah. Thank you all so much for watching, and if you're still here, watching to the end of this, I greatly appreciate y'all sticking around. FlameScot, thank you once again for joining me here on this review, and I assume we'll probably want to meet up again for another game at some point in the future.
Yeah, hopefully.
I know
these are pretty fun.
Game would you want to do?
I don't know.
I know we had mentioned Scarlet Nexus at some point. Maybe we could eventually do that.
Sure, I just have to finish the other story mode.
Yeah, you got to do Yuito's story, or eventually when you ever beat Flame, have you beat Tales of Arise?
I haven't even played it.
Oh, okay, never mind then. That's just me. That's what I would love to talk about.
Maybe one day.
Yeah. It's very good. I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Oh,
yeah. A lot of fun. Very, very engrossing.
Another RPG.
In fact, you know what? Now that you've mentioned it, that's probably what I'm going to play tonight.
Oh, nice. If you stream it, I'll watch it.
Give me a half hour, because I'm going to get a pizza in the interim.
Alright. Well, yeah, I'm sure we can all figure out another game to do together, because these are always fun. And, I'll always still have my own personal podcast that I'll talk about sometimes, which, Lord knows I'll probably do, like, Sonic Frontiers or something. Or Live Alive, too, because I'm so excited for that game. But, yeah.
You know what? I might be able to join you for that one.
Oh, Live Alive?
I guess it depends on how bad my summer college workload will be.
Yeah, and you would also have to probably beat that game in a week because Xenoblade 3 comes out exactly 1 week after Live Alive.
Isn't the game only like 20-ish hours? I could do it.
Yeah, that's actually very true. Live Alive is on the SNES RPG length, which is meaty but not a Thanksgiving dinner. But yeah, so whenever I put out my next review, whether by myself or with my two buds here, I hope you all look forward to it, and thank you all once again for watching. Scott, Flame, do you have anything you would want to plug at the end of this?
Go ahead.
Check out my YouTube channel where I make scripted reviews and junk. And also I did like a thoughts on Pokemon Legends Arceus if you're not satisfied with the 2 hours. It's only like 15 minutes, but still.
I
I
have.
also did the first generation of Pokemon pretty recently.
Oh yeah, I have not watched that episode yet. I will watch your video soon. I actually really like your videos.
And do you have
Uh,
anything?
on my end, I guess I'm mainly a Twitch guy. I guess I do. If you like RPGs, like I'm assuming you are, if you watch 2 hours of me and my friends here meticulously discussing Pokemon, um, I do stream kind of sporadically on Twitch, and I play. I guess I'm specifically an Atlas streamer just because of how things panned out. I am working my way through, God, most of the Mega 10 series.
Oh boy.
Currently playing Shin Megami Tensei 5. I intend to finish that within the next week or two.
And and then you.
And I'm really liking it, and I'm sure that if you watch it in the stream, we always have these ridiculous, hilarious discussions over there, and they could be pretty fun. And in addition to that, I'm also on Twitter, but I'm a very loudmouth who only just retweets things. So follow at your own leisure.
And his block button is nearly Hideki Kamiya levels of strong.
Twitter banned me for blocking all of Smash Twitter, and then I got my Twitter account back, and I just have it moved back because I've been too busy to do all of that stuff.
Yeah, so make sure to go check these guys out. They're real good friends of mine, and I would appreciate you guys showing them some love and support. And one last time, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Take care, everybody.